Closing is always easy when you're in Cardone U. We role play with Grant Cardone's team. They know just what to do. They're always there to support us. We couldn't ask for more. On our way in the right direction, we found what we're looking for. In FLC, in FLC. Closing is better with appointment setters. You'd better believe we're not a team but a family. We work together in harmony. We are devoted, on that you can quote me, in FLC.
Hello, party people, and welcome back to another episode of the FLT Hangout, where your freedom lifestyle begins. We have the one, the only Brian Tucker in the house. I am so excited to have you here. And yeah, let's go. I'm so excited for this episode. I mean, your energy is just amazing ever since we first met you through the boot camp. You've just stood out this whole time. So I'm really excited for this. I know anyone watching should be too. Stay to the end, grab your pens, grab your paper, take notes. And with that being said, without further ado, Misty, over to you.
Oh, hey guys. Thanks, Josie. I'm so super excited for this. We have the legendary Brian in the house. Woo! We're so excited to have you here, Brian. You know, your energy and you just shine. And the first time we saw you on what was it? I don't know if it was a DCA or one of the meetings, and you're just getting down and breaking out those dance moves. It was so amazing.
Right?
And we love it. We love the energy. We love the confidence. We love, love, love everything about you. So, Brian, we know a little bit about you, but we would love to have you introduce yourself and let us know, let other people who don't know you know a little bit about you and what you're doing, what your business is. So I'm going to pass it to you, Brian.
Wow. I just want to start off by saying thank you guys so much for having me here. I'm so grateful to be here and to be in this very safe space. So thank you guys again, and thank you for your very kind words. I'm sitting over here teasing with this big smile, but
welcome to the family.
Currently, I am an impact and empowerment coach. That's the title I go by. And I help entrepreneurs. So this can be CEOs, professionals, conscious entrepreneurs, so healers, psychic mediums. I help entrepreneurs be able to build their own internal confidence and speak and inspire to others. So more or less master the art of authenticity, meaning that this is not just public speaking, but it's a whole deeper level where my programs and my core barriers from other programs is that not only am I giving you the basics of speaking, but I'm giving you the deeper level of authenticity, the ability to connect with your audience and the ability to spread kindness and uplift humanity as a whole, because this is so much bigger than just our own individuals' businesses. This is a collective effort, and shifting the awareness to where now we aren't so much wrapped up in our own heads, but also looking at how can we help impact others in a genuine and very supportive way. But the only way we can do that is by unblocking our own unique style, whether it be through speaking or relationships or even just conversation. So when people hear this, I don't want them to just think of, only public speaking. No. These skills expand to every area, including just your basic conversations, because that is also speaking. And the type of communication I teach is very integral in transformational work, being able to create a safe space and being able to move forward with some of the most uncomfortable topics that I believe are a part of the next wave of awareness and consciousness for humanity.
Wow. This is really cool and really important, right? Because I feel like being able to speak and communicate with other people, with yourself, like with a group of people, is so important and such an underrated skill. And you should be learning this in school, right? Like this is really important. And you mentioned actually being able to connect with your audience or connect with people you're speaking to. And I I mean, I think we all here understand the importance of that, but can you explain a little bit why is that so important? Because there's such a difference between speaking to someone or you're standing on stage speaking to an audience and then that compared to actually connecting and speaking with them and not just at them.
Wow. Wow. I love the way you eloquently put that. And in my opinion, the difference between speaking at someone and connecting with them is how deep are you willing to go. And again, this is a reflection of how vulnerable and raw and real you are with yourself in the mirror. Because if you can be that deep and that open and look at the things that make you uncomfortable within yourself, within your own lifetime, within your own reality, then you will have no problem being able to share that with others. Because I'm noticing this and I've been looking at this and listening to speakers for as long as these couple of years I've been alive. And I've noticed that a lot of speakers, they go from mountaintop to mountaintop. And what I mean by that, this is based on a valley technique. So what you do is you tell people, hey, this is where I am right now. This is what I want you to get there, which is where you actually pick up your audience. This is where you connect with your audience. And then you go to the other mountaintop, which is telling them, hey, this is why I'm passionate. So it's more so of a point, reason, point format. But what most people do again is they don't like to take us there. The way they speak or the way we collectively speak is as if we're hiding or we're defending or we're protecting. And when you are speaking to and with someone, it's important that you be comfortable with revealing those because again, that's where the true layer of connection comes in. Because no one can relate. I don't know if you've seen like the Superman movies, but the reason why they didn't do so well was because this is perfect. This is a perfect, quote unquote, perfect or ideal, if you want to call it that type of story. There's no realness, there's no struggle, there's no relatability. And by delving into your internal struggles, the things where you're doing the ugly work, or the things that don't look beautiful, in that you're able to connect with someone else and they're like, oh wait, you're me. We're reflections. Wait, you're the same as me. We're not that different. That is the skill of authenticity, being able to pick your audience up, like we say in business, connect with them and uplift them together and show them, hey, we're in this together. This is not a toxic dynamic of, oh, I'm the leader and you're the follower. No, no, no. It's more so of a dynamic of we might have different roles, but we are in this thing together. You're not alone.
That is
So
so true.
yeah.
And I love how, I'm all about being authentic and really being able to be who you are and really embracing who you are as a person. And I think that it's like you said, it's very important to be able to do that and then to bring that forward and show people and let them know, hey, I'm being authentic. This is really who I am. Who are you? Who are you being? Are you being your true authentic self? Tell me about it. Show me. I think it's so important because it makes, like you said, it makes people more relatable and it makes them feel safe and comfortable so they can express who they are, and it makes it easier for them to talk. And I love how you're bringing that to people and showing them, hey, this is what needs to be done and this is how you can do it. Let's do this together. I love that. Thank you, Brian.
Wow. Well, thank you. When you were speaking, the one thing that really popped out was a lot of nuggets you just dropped, literally bombshells. And two things like stuck out to me. It was one, creating a safe space. And I'm wondering if a lot of speakers know how to create a safe space. I wonder if they know how to engage their audience in a way to where they're saying, "Hey, this is. Let's create a safe space together." I'm wondering how many people take the time out to do that and to recognize those seemingly little things that matter. In fact, one thing I teach in my program, my upcoming program, is these 3 agreements. You know, you start off your speech by saying, hey, we're going to agree to this and this and this. And the reason why they're called agreements and not rules is because, one, rules are so rigid. The way we're conditioned, the way we're taught, they're meant to be broken. They're like this very dictatorial, I don't know if that's the word, like it's like a dictatorship type of mindset or energy, and it doesn't really make everyone feel safe. It's like walking on eggshells. Whereas like agreements are more so, it's mutual. Like we're mutually on the same basis. We're here together. We're in the same mindset. And then what I do is, once I state the agreement, for instance, I would be like, can we all agree to reserve judgment in this space? I would have whoever I'm speaking to, whoever in the audience, they would say, yes, I agree to reserve judgment in this space. Or they would put it in their own words. So that now, because of that parroting technique, we both have an understanding that we both understand, and we verbalized it. And then the other thing that you said that really stuck out for me was, who are you being? And I think for me, one thing, I want to take that a little bit further and unpack that a little bit. Who are you choosing to be? Who are you creating yourself to be? You know, and I really believe that also that type of clarification and empowerment and standing in your power, that type of language is very needed in the conversation. And I feel like we aren't taught that collectively. For instance, if we're going to do something, when you say, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Well, that's very disempowering to you. And this is, again, a reflection of your own mental chatter, your own self-talk, the thoughts going on in your head, where you are in the conversation. If you're saying you have to do something, that means that you have no control, you have no power, you have no management over circumstances. But if we shift that one statement, I have to, if we shift it to either I get the opportunity, meaning we're now in gratitude, we're now in love, now in that type of lens, that means now we're so grateful we get to do it, because we're grateful that we're alive, because that's a gift we've been given that not many people get either. So remembering the death remembrance with that, and then the other lens you can shift to from I have to is I choose to, or I allow myself to, or I give myself permission to. And that's the lens of choice and power. And also, like, both of these lenses aren't blocking your divinity and your true power here. Because when I'm usually in conversation with most people, they would disempower themselves. And words are power. Like, they not only have and hold power, but they are power. And so words make up perceptions and beliefs, and these lenses, these structures that we live our lives by.
So true. So true. Like the words you say out loud, or even the ones you say in your head, makes such a difference, right? And what's really important as well, you were talking about, no, you don't have to get to. And the example that immediately came up in my mind was like waking up in the morning. Say you tell yourself you want to wake up at 6 a.m. And then it gets to 6 a.m. and your alarm goes off and you're like, oh, I don't really have to leave the house until like 8, so I can get up at 7. And you do that every time. And what's important is to realize why. Why did you want to get up at 6 in the first place? Like, why you wanted to have that time in the morning, you wanted to relax, time for yourself, so you're not go all the time. And the same holds for business or anything you're doing in life. You had that goal. You had this goal of doing something, of creating this habit for a reason. So no, you don't have to do this thing. You get to because you have this goal, right? So what I tell people all the time is, remember your why. Why are you doing this? You don't have to be doing this. You can settle. Yeah, sure. Go settle like most of the world do. Why do you want to be different? So I really resonate and love that you said that. And with the communication thing, like you said, it's so true. It's so true, especially in sales. It's kind of like the communication is seen as the other person crosses their arms, you cross your arms. If they lean forward, you lean forward. If they lick their lips, you lick your lips. And like, yeah, but no, that's not what we're talking about with communication. It's actually understanding what the other person is saying, understanding how you're saying things and how they might perceive what you're saying. We talk a lot in the team. Big shout out to Seb, huge shout out to Seb, who tells us all the time it's context over content. It's not what you're saying or what you're telling the other person, it's how you're saying it, and vice versa. It's not what they're telling you, it's what they're telling you one thing, but what they really telling you, like what's in between the lines of what they're really saying. And I think that's the really important thing with communication, right? It's a skill that is so overlooked, and most people might look at it and think, oh, I'll learn that along the way. Like I can talk to people. I've been doing it my whole life. No, this is a skill that you need to learn, you need to practice, right? And if you do have any doubts of where to start, if you're watching, reach out to Brian. But yeah, I'd be interested in your guys's thoughts on that too. It's more than just what you say and what the other person is saying. It's what are you really saying? What's in between the lines, right? Am I wrong? Am I right?
You're definitely right. I think it's also like you're saying, you have to read between the lines of what are you really saying, because I think communication and effective, really good communication is more than just verbal. It's more than just what you're saying. It's your whole demeanor, the way you're coming across as a, like Seb always says, or we've heard from Grant Cardone, Shabaria says it a lot. Smile when you're talking to somebody. Smile, because that smile comes across through your voice, right? And so if you're not smiling and if you're depressed and you're like really down in the dumps and stuff, like we all go through that. But if you're feeling a certain way and you're not projecting what you want to have the other person perceive, then you need to reevaluate what you're doing and how you're doing it. So you have to really read between, like you said, read between the lines. And it's not just listening to what they're saying, but it's what's really coming across, or what is it they're trying to say, but they're not able to say. You know what I mean? Because and the reason why I bring that up is because you guys know me. I have a lot of things thought out in my head. It's all in order. It's there. I know it's there. It's really, really powerful and good. But when it comes to getting it out into my words, it just doesn't happen. So it's like you have to really, really be aware of what you're putting across and allow that other person to see that and be, like I said, be aware of that. So I really think that that's powerful. Don't just be it is the talk, what you're saying, but it's also how you're coming across physically and emotionally, energetically.
Oh my gosh. Like I'm over here like, yo, my face is on because this is really just amazing and inspiring. And the one word I'm hearing is like perceive, perception. And I am a word guy. I am a perception guy. I am a questions guy. That is like my realm of geeking outness, whatever you call it. But I do want to go touch on a lot of nuggets you guys dropped. When both of you guys touched on, it's not about what you said, but how you say it. And here's my big claim. Everyone is a speaker. Everyone. Everything is a conversation. Everything is a relationship. Everything is a connection. As a speaker in a conversation, or whether you're platform speaking or whether you're closing, not only are you responsible for what you say and how you say it, but again, you are also responsible for how it lands. And you guys said that as well. Take radical ownership of that. Take accountability for how the other person perceives you. And I believe that is the missing component of communication in a lot of different people's minds and in our minds collectively, going beyond what you're saying, going beyond just the voice, just your words, just your oration skills, and tapping into the nonverbal communication. What are your hand gestures? What is your face doing? What are you twitching? Are you trying to self-soothe? Are you rubbing yourself? Are you looking down? Are you maintaining eye contact? Because all of those are signs of energetic presence. And that's how you become more confident. That those are signs that can tell people you're here or you're not here. You're listening to me, are you not? And that really helps us make people feel seen, heard, and felt as if we're actually there in that present moment. And because we live in a society full of like quick fixes and weapons of mass distraction, it can be so easy to get caught up or swept up into it. And here's the word again, if we're not aware of that. And I love when Misty said that speaking and communication is so much more than just your voice, because nonverbal communication has a lot to do with your energy, your energetic field. I'm getting a little woo-woo here, but your energetic field, and that speaks more. That speaks way more than just your voice. It's a multifaceted relationship within that. You know, not just your tone, not just your diction, not just your pacing, but again, what is your body saying? Because we pick up on that so much more. I think it's like 60 to 70% of communication is nonverbal, something of that nature. I could be butchering this, but I knew it was like a really very big amount, because that's how receptive we are, and going beyond what we see, what we hear, feeling into the energy, going beyond the words is all a part of communication. And I love when Misty, when you touched on this, you said that what is the person we're in a conversation with trying to say but aren't able to articulate at this moment? That was so beautiful, because in taking radical ownership of what we say, how we say it, and how it lands, we also can understand, we also have the ability to understand when a person is trying to say something and they're unable to articulate it right now. Now that doesn't mean that does not by any means mean that they're dumb or they're worthless. That's not what that means. That just means right now their skill set may not be there. Skill set is not connected to worth. And I also think that that's another fallacy. That's another type of belief that is around communication. Like, oh, our anything. You know, we mistake our own self-worth for the worth of what we do. And the truth is definitely that you are worthy because you exist. You know, we don't get a choice in being spiritual. We are naturally spiritual because we are that. That's truly what we are. You don't get a choice. Now whether you choose to recognize it or not, that is your choice. But you don't get a choice in choosing, just like you don't get a choice on whether or not you're worthy. You're worthy regardless. And that's perception 101, which is the concepts. And I know I'm going a little deep here, but this is it's sparked up in my
You're
brain
good.
that the concept we think of is not what it actually is. And there's always going to be like a water type of reflection within that. What we think it is may not always be there. For instance, I know a lot of us are scared of judgment, which that has been ingrained. And we're like, oh my gosh, what do people think of me? What do people think of me? What if they think this or think that? And the truth is that what they think of you is not actually you. Heck, what you think of you is not actually you. You're just you. You're being, you're flowing, you know? And so it's like whenever someone says something that may be a little hurtful or says something about you that may tick you off a little bit, just understand that they're doing the best they can, hold space, but also understand that they're talking about themselves, because it's all about projection and it's all about perception.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So good. There was so many points you made just then that I was like, I want to touch on that. I want to touch on that. And now it's so good. Thank you so much. Like that was amazing. And completely agree with everything you said. Also, you, Misty, everything. Completely agree. And it just shows you how important it is for yourself to work on communication, not only for you, but for everyone else. Because, like you said, you both said this, there might be someone you're talking to that wants to say something, but it's not coming out, or it's not coming out the right way, or they're saying it in a way that they don't actually mean. And then you're taking it in the way that they said it and they didn't mean how they said it. And that's where emotions get up here and chaos fights happen. And it's all tiny little misunderstanding here. So if you're able to really work through that, and obviously the example that comes to mind in sales, because that's what we're doing every day, is the probing, like, okay, well, why do you say that? What do you mean when you say this? Why do you say this? Okay, what do you mean by that? And just taking the time to fully understand who you're talking to will save you so much hassle. And I've definitely used this in um personal conversations too. And like you said, it doesn't mean the other person is intentionally trying to hurt you or is dumb or doesn't know what they're saying. No, they just might not know how to articulate it. So it's really important. It's a really good skill to have, is what I'm trying to say. To be able to communicate and articulate and be able to know, okay, they said this, but that's not what they really mean, or that's not a reflection on me, it's on them. Um, so yeah, beautifully, beautifully said by both of you. And I know we're talking a lot about learning this skill, and you should be able to work on this. And I know that a lot of people are hesitant to actually work on communication. One, because it can be scary. You have to talk to people. Like the practice is talking to people. There is no like, no, I'll just practice by myself in the mirror. No, the practice is practical, right? So it can be scary. And number two, it can seem like a lot of knowledge to learn. Like, oh, I have to listen, but then I have to look like I'm not listening too much, but I am listening, and I have to not look like I'm thinking about what to say next, but I have to da 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 da. So I want to ask you, Brian, and I know Misty, you'll have something to say on this too. How it how long do you think it takes to actually start picking up these skills or learn this really important skill set? Because I know it can seem like, oh my God, this is a lifetime of work, but it's not really, is it?
Oh my gosh. Just amazing question. Like, wow, just and I loved all the beautiful knowledge bombs you dropped, Josie. Wait, really, I just want to address that really quickly. I love how you described how like one little misunderstanding. I started thinking about the 80-20 rule for some reason, but you described how like one little misunderstanding can snowball into something that definitely something that definitely is bigger than that one, I think. I love how you talked about that. And going through with what you said about people maybe looking at communication or perceiving communication as scary or overwhelming, it can look that way. And I believe that once you've had enough practice, practice varies. Once you had enough practice, depending on what type of speaker you are or what's your unique style and vibe out with communication, it becomes way easier. You learn how to adjust. You learn how to manage your discomfort. That's a big one, managing discomfort. Because I remember, I think it was yesterday, Seth was talking about it, or Chabari, or both of them, I think it was. But the more you do uncomfortable things, the more you're able to manage it. It becomes another form of excitement, as a way I describe it, because it's the same physiological reaction, different perception, or different ingrained perception, you know. So it's literally the same thing. Discomfort is just excitement. Actually, before this call, I was sitting here like dancing out to my favorite song, doing the jumping jacks and the high knees and the squats, because I had just taken my nephew to daycare, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have 10 minutes. And I was like, okay, chill out, manage your energy. It's gonna be fine. Everything will be okay. But it can be scary. It can seem scary at first because it's unknown, perhaps, or maybe something new, and it can seem overwhelming. But the key is work on like one little nugget at a time. And I would actually say, if you want to get good at communication, if you are committed to becoming good at communication, record yourself. look at yourself in the mirror, maybe record yourself on video and go back. And if you would like this, just contact me after this and I will give you a chart you can use when you are playing it back, when you are looking for things, and just adjust or tweak one thing every playback. That's the skill here. It's consistency over intensity here. Because if you try to take too much, if you try to bite off more than you can chew, then you will get overwhelmed. Just work on it on little nuggets, and then at some point, those little nuggets stack up, and the next thing you know, you have a whole mountain of them. So I think that when we are thinking about this, we are conditioned to try to take on too much, and we perfectionists are, overthinkers. But just start with one thing, one manageable thing, and earn your own respect and build your self confidence. And that is key here. And then I also wanted to touch on something that's kind of related to that. One of the first skills that is really important within communication, within clarity, I think that's the biggest word. Clarity is, like you said, with the fact finding in business as well. That's a prime example. Becoming clear on definitions, becoming clear on perceptions, becoming clear on beliefs. That is really important. For instance, if I'm talking about love, everyone has different dimensions of that one buzzword. Some people is like it's an action, others it's a bond. For me, it's a whole identity, a whole state. So I'm like becoming clear on those waves, on those different dimensions will help you be able to find common ground. So when you are communicating at first, this may seem very tricky, but trying to spell out as best as you can, as best as you can. Don't please do not cling to some standard, some unattainable standard. Please, we do that, but clinging to whatever you can best do. For instance, if and this happened a couple of weeks ago, I'm gonna be vulnerable a little bit. My dad and I were talking about me emptying the trash, and somehow it led to this very beautiful conversation about vulnerability and how we felt with one another because we've had a strained relationship in the past. And it was more so of us breaking down what we meant by when we say this or when we say that. And that is so important. And that's the key element is just definition. Really delving into what you mean. If it sounds like you're ranting, go for it. If it takes you a venting session to get to exactly what you mean, I would say go for it because it will help you become clearer in your communication. And again, if this seems scary, put it on the back burner and just start with that one technique I talked about, which is recording yourself. Do a 1 minute video, do a 30-second video if that is too much. And just look back and adjust one little thing. One thing.
I love that. So Brian, God, you're talking about so much. You're like just so much that you're putting down that's just phenomenal. I do have a question though. We're talking about when we're communicating to somebody else, right? And how we come off and how we're I don't want to say perceived, but how we're projecting what we're trying to communicate to the other person. So my question is, when you're the person that somebody's coming to talk to, right? Like somebody else is communicating to you, say like a speaker, right? Like you were talking about a speaker. So somebody comes, they're up on stage and they're speaking and they're projecting and they're giving out their communication skills. When you're the person listening to the other person that's being communicated to, what are techniques that we need to have or should be aware of in order to be able to able to understand and feel comfortable in that communication so we can reciprocate? Does that make sense? Reciprocate that communication. I can't speak, but you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean, right? Because like right now, I'm the one talking to you and you're like, how can I understand what you're saying? How can I feel safe in what you're saying? How can I understand you what are you really meaning to say? Because I'm not doing very good at communicating with that. So that's what my question is. When, say, like, I'm talking to you, what are techniques that you're using at the moment to try to understand me, even though I'm not communicating well?
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I I hear you loud and clear, and I just want to say that I think you communicate pretty well. I'm hearing shucking and
Thank you. I
jiving,
practiced.
but one thing, and I'm so glad you asked this. One thing that I personally do, and this has a lot to do with personal presence. And even when we are very present and aware of where we are, still we will only retain 20% of the information. One thing to note is that, one, I think a practical thing to do is some grounding techniques. So I'm like into energy healing. I also love that as well. And one of the first things I learned to be grounded, to be centered, to be here is this very simple technique of putting the energy behind my eyes. So what one could do is close their eyes and visualize their eyeballs. The eyeball eyeballs. Sorry, I got
Those
tongue.
circular things in your head, close those.
Yeah. So close your eyes and visualize your eyeballs and see like an orb of energy or a different color right there. And what that does is it brings you back here. It gives you somewhere to focus your attention and your energy. And so then you will be here. You'll be here in this present moment. You won't be drifting here, drifting right. Be centered, focused, right? That's one thing, a grounding technique. The second thing that I personally do right now is when I breathe. And I this is a very, very this is a very passionate point of mine. When people teach meditation, they say, oh, breathe in and out. But you forget one crucial component most people do, and that is the gaps between the breath. I remember when I was in university a couple of months ago and I was in music. I was majoring in music. And oh, side note, all of this is like music to me. So I'm like, this is really cool. But
Yeah.
when my voice teacher described it, and she was like, here's how breathing goes. Inhale, and then she would say pause, or we would call that the suspension. Exhale, and then pause, or we would call that the recovery. And what you would do is when you start the breathing process, I would actually recommend breathing out first. So your out breath, your in breath will be a reaction of your out breath. So breathe out whatever you feel so then you can take an in breath. So breathe out and pause. Take a long, deep breath in, pause. See how you're feeling. Feel back into your body. Breathe out, pause, feel back into your body. And I also do this while working out. And this is a formula for getting high. Yeah. So I know it sounds really weird, but it will get you into a heightened state to where now you're tingly, to where now you're more open to receive and you're not as resistant to whatever someone is saying. So again, we only retain 20%. So if the person talking to you is very eloquent, they will emphasize certain words within their speech. Or you can pick up on the emphasis that they do. I know some speaking techniques that you can do, some verbal highlights that you can do to catch your audience attention is one, you can slow down your pace. Usually, if it's very important, they will slow down their pace or they will quicken their pace to catch your attention. So keep your eye out for things that grab your attention because that usually means that your speaker is saying something of importance, a really, really big point. Another thing they would probably do is I do this quite a bit in my speeches when I'm speaking is a whisper. Like I do it like it's a whisper. Like it's like a very intense and quiet type of intensity. So again, to recap, when we are being the person communicated to, when we are the listener, two things you can do: energy behind your eyes, breath gaps, and then also you can listen out. Three, you can listen out for the emphasis that they're putting on their words within their speech. and this will help you to be able to pick up on the main points. This is why everyone is a speaker, because we all put emphasis on some parts of words. It may be unconscious, it may be conscious, but I feel we should use those intentionally because they do help our points. Did that land? Does that make sense, Misty?
Yeah,
Yeah, it definitely does. Thank you.
absolutely. I love this so much because it's something I used to actually really struggle with. And again, being vulnerable here, being honest, um, I used to really struggle with that with especially sales calls. I'm going back to sales. That's what I know. But with the cold calls, it was I knew what I have to say, how I have to say it, and what like I know the script inside out, backwards. You could wake me up in the middle of the night, I could say the script to you. But what
She's
I
sweet like butter. Don't let her. Don't let her. She gets on the Cardone training, the sales rallies in the morning, and she blows them away. She's got the entire Cardone team behind the speaker, clapping and celebrating because she's so smooth. She's so good. So when she says she can do it in her sleep, she can do it in her sleep. She's on point. Girl knows what she's doing.
Oh, thank you, Misty. Thank you. Always, you're my hype woman forever.
Yes.
But thank you. I appreciate it. But what I was meaning to say is where I struggled, where I struggled. Well, I'm still working on it as well. I mean, you're never really not working on improving yourself, right? So I'm still working on it. Is what are they saying to me? I know exactly what I should be saying to them and how to handle them most of the time. But what are they saying to me is really where I struggled to actually listen and be present, like you said. I wasn't present. I was always thinking, okay, what am I going to say next? Oh, they said this. Oh, okay, I should go to this bit of the script then. Oh, I should use this word track. And then I would miss half of what they actually told me. And that is probably the part I missed is probably the most important part where they're giving me something of I can latch onto and I don't have to continue with the script, for example. So what I'm saying is where I really struggled is actually be present, listen to what they're saying. Don't get out my own mind. What am I going to say next? What am I going to do? How am I going to handle this? It's not about you. They're speaking, they're telling you their problems, where they're struggling, what's going on in their life. And you're thinking about what you're going to say next. I'm speaking to myself. Slow down, listen, figure out what you're going to say when it's your turn to speak, because like I said, I know the script, I know what to say, I don't need to be thinking about it all the time. So I think that's really important. We were talking for the first half a lot about how are you saying things, how are you going about, what's your context, but you made a really good point, both of you. It's also how are you reacting to the other person speaking to you as well. So yeah, really important. I loved the question, loved the answer. I think that it helps you so much when you're able to listen. Just listen more, speak less.
Wow, what Josie, what you just said was so beautiful. I'm enjoying this a lot. I don't know if you guys can tell, like okay.
Yeah,
But
I am. I feel it in here.
but but it's this is such a I think Misty asked the right question, the very deep question at the very divine time, because it's a really nice connector. And then going into what you just said, Josie, about communication within cells. And I love how you touched on the presence, how presence is very important within, the conversation that we're having regarding cells. And I really believe it's so crucial because, like you said, it's just a big conversation, and we're so bogged down with overthinking about our words or what we're gonna say, to where we're letting ourselves take us out of the game. We're not truly being of service because now the focus is back on us instead of the person we're meant to serve and impact. And within that, what I've done for myself, I actually have a couple of calls this week, but within that, I'm going, okay, how can I bring my unique presence to this? How can I spin this in my own unique way? Because while yes, the structure is for a reason, also understand that we all have our own unique vibe and energy and voice within that. And so our gift is that we aren't like anyone else. We're all connected, yes, but we are all ourselves individually. And that's what makes us special, like everyone else. We all are. And I really believe there should be more emphasis on your own nuances, your own presence, your own communication. And this is why I'm loving talking to entrepreneurs, because this is really impactful within the context of sales and the confines of sales. Because when you find your own unique voice and not judge yourself about the expression, about what it is, about how you speak, and let yourself and give yourself permission to do that, then the conversation will flow so much more. And you find yourself making so much more of an impact and a connection. So when now the person is like, oh, okay, I automatically want to buy from you because I feel you and you feel me. And this is so mutual and it's so overwhelmingly joyful. And I love when you touched on, okay, what are they saying to me? And for me, it begged the question, how can I be present enough to listen? And I think with there's no think. I believe within that, being really sure on your unique type of speaking and what your presence is, what you're bringing, I think that really helps with the overthinking and having that level of self awareness when we're going into not just sales calls, but also relationship conversations, also platform speaking, these different avenues of just connecting with another soul really would help. And I'm like, okay. And sometimes for me, if I find myself ungrounded and I would hear the person speaking later on in the conversation, whenever I miss will pop back up in my head. And I'm like, what is even going on? I'm like, oh crap, I missed that. And what I would do, and by the way, if anyone here catches themselves overthinking or you're out of the game or you're not present in conversation, I just want to mention that it's very important to be kind to yourself, hold space for yourself. And I'm all about compassion and passion in one go, because you can be compassionate and you can be compassionate at the same time. But when you catch yourself, hold space and just tell yourself thank you, because that is a lesson learned. That's another note. That's another step up, because you were self aware. You did catch yourself. And don't penalize yourself for the time that you may not have caught it. It's happening right now for a reason. So I think getting out of that box of ingrained and crafted perfectionism are, and that's a whole nother subject that I won't touch on right now because that's a really big one for me as well. But getting out of that,
That's another episode.
okay, but getting out of that box of the box we've created for ourselves. Because again, there is no box. There is no, like Seb said yesterday with FOC, there is no one way, one ticket. And we are conditioned to think about success in this way. We think that success is like big yachts, fancy mansion. And I'm like, no, no, no. Success looks different for everyone. And abundance is not just the money. It's these various things. And I'm like, what is aligned for you? Whatever someone else has may not be for you. That's okay. Sit with that. But there is more than one road for you. There's more than one path. And when you allow yourself to be multiple things at one time, for instance, when I say this, I mean, like, for instance, I'm a brother, I'm a son, I'm an uncle, I'm all these different things simultaneously. Likewise, success is like that. Likewise, your future is like that. Likewise, your roles here on this planet is like that. You could be an entrepreneur, you can be a speaker, you can be a coach, you can be a healer all at once and not judge yourself for it. So you do not have to be a one-trick pony for anybody listening to this. You can be your full self, and be just as beautiful as you are.
Oh, so powerful. So true as well. I think what you said is it's really easy to get caught up in this is the way, like this is what I want to do, and this is the way it should be done, and I won't accept any other way. But the reality is that most of the time getting to what you see as success and what your goals are, it won't look like how you imagine it to look. Trust me. It won't be, maybe. See, I was about to say it won't be as simple as you thought, but that's not actually what I meant. See, I'm catching myself. It can be very simple. It can be very simple if you are open and willing to change with the plans as the universe has for you, and not be so rigid on your way of it happening, right? So I think that's what makes it easier. And this is what we mean by this is what we mean by business is simple and success can be easy if you allow it to be, right? And obviously you're going to have days, you're going to have maybe weeks where it's going to feel difficult, and that's part of the process. It won't always feel plain sailing, but in the big picture, you're fine, you're good, you're okay. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Awesome. You guys are doing amazing. So I don't mean to interrupt you, Brian. I know you want to say something else, but we're getting really close to the end of the time now. So if you guys want to say, like, have your last word. I know time flies when you're having fun and dropping, really important bombs here. So if you guys want to had something to say, like kind of to help wrap up, I'm gonna let you guys each say something, and then I will finish it up.
Little
Go ahead,
summary.
Brian.
Speaking of forever hold your peace vibes.
Okay. So I just want to end off by saying thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Thank you for giving us your time and your presence. And you're awesome and you're amazing wherever you are. Remember to hold space for yourself. Even if you judge yourself, sit with that, be with that. And wherever you are in your journey, you're awesome. You're extraordinary. You're amazing. And you're going to keep growing from here. This is not the end of your life. It's just the beginning.
Ooh, right. Right, he is. Yeah, I just want to, first of all, second everything Brian just said. Second of all, tell you watching, go follow Brian on his socials. If you didn't catch them on the screen at the beginning, they're in the description below, the links. Reach out to him, follow him, learn from him. You can never follow enough good people to learn from, so make sure you do that. And I just want to say something you've said a couple times, Brian, is this is for everyone. Like the speaking, everyone is a speaker. You watching, you're a speaker. Even if you don't like it, like to speak, or you feel shy, or you're a speaker because at some point or another, whether you're in sales, whether you're in business, entrepreneur, maybe you're not any of those. You're just you have a job, you're whatever, wherever you are in life, at some point or another, you're going to have to speak to someone. And you're going to have to be able to articulate your point of view, and but also articulate their point of view. So what I want to summarize is you are a speaker. Communication is for everyone. Take the time to work on it. It doesn't have to be a big, scary thing. Just start to pick up on yourself where you do certain things. And like Brian says, he has a nice tool where if you're recording yourself, you can change little things here and there. And over time, you're going to see a huge difference. So just work on it little by little, and you got this.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, party people! Thank you so much for being here. We have loved this. You guys have got to go check out Brian because he's bringing the party on all platforms. I see him everywhere and he is dropping gold. You've got to go check him out. Like Josie said, his links are everywhere. Just kind of go out on there. I see him on TikTok all the time. I'm scrolling through TikTok and there's Brian and there's Brian and there's Brian. Or on Facebook or on Instagram. I see him everywhere. So he's out there. He's easy to find. He's dropping gold. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope that you got something from it. If you like this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it. It will help us get this platform out to everybody, this podcast out to everybody, so we can help more people reach their freedom lifestyle, because obviously, like it says up here, this is where it begins. Thank you guys for being here again. Keep learning, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see you next time on another episode on next Sunday. So from all of us here at FLC, welcome to the family, where once your family for life. Catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.